I got a question for you. You see that American flag, and that flag means various things to various people. In saying that, it basically is a symbol, such as is the national anthem. It's a symbol. For people who don't know the history of the flag and of the national anthem, they may just think it's the natural order of things, the natural way to go, and everything is pretty much cool with it. But for other people, the flag and the national anthem represent something quite different. They represent the inequality of how people are treated within this country. Now, that's not the Confederate flag. That's a whole nother different ball game, and this video was not intended to go into that. But the American flag that people stand for, if they choose to, salute, if they choose to, put their hands over their hearts, which, by the way, was started by Ronald Reagan, so it's not some, centuries-old tradition. The national anthem was written by a white American soldier. He was a lieutenant who had just gotten his ass whipped by a bunch of black Marines who were fighting and defeated them in order to obtain their freedom, because this was the War of 1812. That flag means a lot of things to a lot of people. But that being said, my thoughts on it are that it should mean equality, equal protection under the law, the strength of what the Constitution is supposed to represent and supposed to guarantee to us. Now, I got a question for you. What is the response when I say that a football player who was the smartest kid on his team, that's documented, the kid's the smartest player on his team, comes across a bunch of other players on his team, and like all teams aren't equal, because there are some teams that will live and die together, bleed together, etc. And then there are some teams that the only thing that they understand as far as team is TEAM, but as far as the going to war together, living and dying together, and the respect that they have for each other, that doesn't even count. They have no idea about it. Well, this particular player was, let us say, verbally attacked. Now, he wasn't directly verbally attacked. He was supposedly excluded from his overall group. And when he objected to it, his teammates, the ones that were making these assertions, didn't care. Now, this particular kid wasn't really, let us say, outspoken, political. He was just a regular kid on a football team with his teammates, going out there to play and to win. But that didn't mean a damn thing to those other kids. So because he recognized that he was being disrespected along with the people within his group, he decided to take a stand. Now, I know I've been arbitrarily obtuse in giving you the details, so I guess it's about time for me to give you those details. Rodney Axon Jr. was or still is, a football player on the Brunswick, Ohio high school football team. He decided to take a knee, not only to stand up for himself, but to take a stance against the overall conditions that face some people in America. I'm going to play you this video clip from the Cleveland television station regarding the subject.
Story you'll see only on Cleveland 19 News. An African-American football player at Brunswick High School is taking a stand on what he calls racial injustice. He decided to sit during the national anthem at a recent football game.
Yeah, but things got out of hand when other players started writing racial slurs directed at that player because he refused to stand. Now the school is investigating. Harry Boomer has this Cleveland 19 exclusive tonight. He joins us live. Boom. I am at the Brecksville Broadview Heights High School. There's a game here between Brecksville, Broadview Heights, and Brunswick. And in the spirit of Colin Kaepernick and others, 16-year-old Rodney Axon took a stand by protesting racial slurs he heard in his own locker room. What's wrong with this picture? The national anthem is being played, but neither team was on the field to hear it. Rodney Axon was not going to stand out of protest because of a previous incident.
There was a few players in the locker room saying, we're going to use the N-word with a hard R tonight. And they didn't know my son was in the locker room. So at that time, he came from where he was at in the locker room and approached those guys and said, excuse me, what do you mean by that? They said, well, this don't include you. You stay in Brunswick. And he said, well, I'm African American. It does include me. So I appreciate if y'all don't say that.
Axon says some of the players used the N-word anyway. They went on the field and stood for the national anthem.
Another kid said it before the national anthem took place. So he kneeled down, took a knee, and prayed, along with two other kids that's on the team.
The backlash against Rodney has been vile.
He said things, called him a worthless, and that upset him at that time. And it was other things said, as far as he was ignorant for doing it. You know, he's making black people look worse than what they already are.
Rodney carries a 3.5 GPA, the highest on the team.
You know, did a lot of things in life to get to where we have to get to make sure our family was safe. And I thought moving to a community like Brunswick, we'll be safe. Keep away from gun violence, and you come out here and have to deal with racial things.
The superintendent of Brunswick Broadview High School says that, quote, I'm deeply disappointed that any of our students will participate in the publication of the tweets. Racial slurs and hate speech have no place in Brunswick schools, and those found complicit in such misconduct, he says, will be dealt with accordingly. Live at Brecksville Broadview Heights, Harry Boomer, Cleveland 19.
Thank you, Harry. Well, this story had us wondering, should the player...
Now, in case you're wondering, after that went down, this particular note, which you may or may not be able to see clearly, but on the note, it says, let's, L-E-T-S, let's lynch niggers. Okay? Now, this is from one of his teammates. Now, I will give a whole lot of kudos to this young man, because after he got that particular message, this is what he wrote. This is for everyone who calls me ignorant for sitting during the national anthem because I believe the racial inequality is real and living. This is for everyone who says you're from Brunswick. You don't face any discrimination. This is for everyone who feels Rodney just wants attention. This is for everyone who's going to say it's just a joke. Finally, this is for everyone who doesn't see what is really going on for African Americans in this nation. Say all you want about me, I don't care. I will continue to sit. I will continue to be myself, even if it makes me a nigger. I will continue to pray to God at night that racism ends. God bless. Now, this kid wasn't even originally going to go out there and do anything. But because he happened to be off in the corner of the locker room, he happened to overhear 2 or 3 white boys saying that they were going to start yelling nigger. Being a young man that had a backbone, he faced them up and asked them exactly what they said. They had the balls to repeat it, but they said, we're not talking about you. You know, you're one of us. We're talking about them. Well, he said, nah, you're not talking about them because I'm African American. So if you are talking about any African Americans, you're talking about me. So they turned around and called him a nigger to his face, and then they went out on the field and said the same thing, and that's why he did what he did. So now you tell me, was that stand that he took warranted or unwarranted? Should he have stood up for himself and his people? More so than anything else, he was pushed. And when he pushed back, now all of a sudden, he's getting all of these tweets, these hate tweets and these hate emails, etc. But what was the original cause of it? The original cause of it was because a couple of teammates, and I wouldn't even call them teammates, a couple of assholes that happened to be playing on his team, decided that they were going to sling some racial slurs and he wasn't going to stand for it. So all of you out there, here's a young man who it appears comes from a good family, father's in the household, working hopefully a good job that was able to move his family to a more affluent neighborhood. Affluent equals white, by the way. No, I'm being facetious. Affluent neighborhood that happened to be predominantly white. Trying to get away from, you know, the bullshit that's going out there on the streets. Has a son who is the smartest kid on the damn football team. Okay? And he's got to put up with this. Hell to the damn no. There's no way that he has to put up with this. Now, I want to see what's going to happen because they have the actual documentation on the note that said, let's lynch niggers. They got the tweets, and they can trace down where the tweets came from. I want to see how righteous this school and this principal are as far as dealing with these guys. Because we're always told that we're throwing out the race card and we're always claimed to be victims. Well, God damn it, this time you got it on video and in black and white. There's no victimhood here. This is actual racism. And now my next question is, where the hell did they learn it from? Because unless the school is out there teaching classes on how to be a racist, that this had to come from the parents. And since there were apparently very few black people living in this neighborhood, all of which I would guess would be of somewhat means, unless they have some type of previous experiences that were negative, this is just something that was homegrown and inbred And I got to tell you, we're getting tired of this bullshit. So if you got a response that's appropriate, please make it. And I'm letting you know right off the top, anybody that's out there throwing racial slurs and derogatory comments, your asses are gone. You'll be blocked. You're going to have your comment removed. And I'm not going to think anything further of you. But Colin Kaepernick is right. And I think that a flame is being fanned now. And ultimately, if we all come to Jesus, this could turn out to be something good.